the dark, I play my dreams. Permaculture flows like sweet streams. I'm the daddy with the know-how seed. Creating the world like it's meant to be. Permaculture, P-I-M-P, I'm the king. That's it, love in everything. Bring a change, making it last.
Welcome to episode 346 of the Permaculture Pimpcast, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. The only Pimpcast on planet Earth where we discuss permaculture, preparedness, practical living, and sometimes even prostitutes. Oh, yeah. All right, episode 346, man. We're just moving along. This episode, as always, brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap from TwoOldCrowsHomestead.com. Turn that simp into a pimp. Bam! Living Soil Foundation. Folks, we are cleaning up Western North Carolina in a big way. And, we're still, as always, it seems, working on the website. We got the backbone of it done, but we're trying to get the rest of it squared away. But anyway, we are moving the needle in a big way. I'm going to handle all the housekeeping up front because I got my guest on here. He was on here just a couple of weeks ago, and I brought him back by popular demand because a lot of people are wondering what is the ideal routine. But before we get into it, Redemption Shield. Look, y'all, every single show, because I'm in these studio lights, because I'm hit by EMF in every direction, I'm G'd up from the feet up, and I mean grounded. And I got these grounded mats going all the way out there to ground, okay? They got look, folks, don't buy these things and not put them in properly and then, send me emails as to why they don't work. You got to actually have them to ground. So, yeah, I can even ground in the house even when I'm in the studio. And, yes, I am G'd up from the feet up. Wave Watch. Yeah, that one that kicks out those solfeggio tones without the EMF just puts out the tone, folks. You got to love that. Billy 100 will get you $100 off that. And don't forget, coming up soon, East Tennessee Homestead Alliance Festival. That's going to be September 12th and 13th. I'm going to be there at Knoxville, Kentucky. Yeah, I got it right this time. And finally, EMP Shield, y'all. $50 off with promo code PERMA. Look, I've been a journeyman electrician for a lot of years, almost 30 years now. And I'm here to tell you the best transient voltage surge suppressor on the planet is made by EMP Shield. So whether it's in your vehicle or whether it's in your home, they will get you squared away with promo code PERMA. That'll get you $50 off. All right, with that said, I hit up my man, Logan from Sowing Prosperity say that 10 times. Sowing Prosperity Podcast. Folks, I mean, I've been binging his stuff left and right, and I highly encourage everybody out there to go check out his podcast. You are going to be so glad you did. And you're going to see a good old boy like myself sit there. He'll never say this, but I'll say it. But I'm sitting here watching him mop the floor with PhDs because he's an autodidact. Like the folks I had on last night. Autodidacts, that means self-taught. That means you can get a PhD understanding if you put in the work and put in the time. Well, Logan, glad to have you back on, bro. Thanks for coming back on with me.
Absolutely, Billy. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Man, I'll be honest with you. The last time you were on here, man, there were so many people that reached out and so many people that were saying, okay, I'm checking out Dr. Cruz. I'm looking at Alexis Cowan. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at that. I'm checking out. I want to get started. I got this ailment. It's been killing me for years and years and years. What does the ideal routine look like? And I'm thinking, well, okay, I could sit here and write this email about 40 times, or I could just go ahead and have Logan on, who's way further down the road than this. And like I said, folks, like he's too modest to sit here and tell you this, but when you listen to his podcast, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. My man is definitely studied up on this stuff. And I learned a lot from him, so I'm hoping all of us can today. So, Logan, I guess just right out of the gates, man, so many people are they're in the mainstream medical model. They think, okay, I got this ailment. I go to my general practitioner. And I'll be honest with you, man, these days I think most MDs probably think homeostasis is a sexual preference. So we know that isn't the case. And of course I'm joking. I'm sure they know the definition of homeostasis. But the point being, they're getting told, take this pill, call me in the morning. And I'm like, look, okay, we got to do something here, man. I was wondering if you had already done a show like this where you had actually said, okay, here's the ideal routine. Wake up in the morning, bam, 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 bam. So I figure I'll just go ahead and start with mine. And then maybe we can go from there, because I'm sure you can tweak it or help me out here. So I got it written down here. So I wake up in the morning, and as soon as I say a little prayer, give thanks to the good Lord, get out of the bed, put on these blue light blocking glasses that I have right now, because when I go out there, if you open the kitchen door, bam, you just got hit with some blue light. Or the coffee pot, which I got to replace, has blue light on it. It's the sneaky, insidious kind of stuff out there. It'll be some little LED light over here you didn't even think about. So I got that on. Get up, drink some salt water. I'm going to be real quick with this so we can, get straight to the questions. Get out there, knock out the chores. Now, keep in mind, I'm up long before the sun comes up. I'm up at early morning nautical twilight, which means the sun is still about 20 degrees below the horizon. So I can get all this done, get out there, get the chores done. Well, I still got a little bit of light. And by the time the sun's coming up over the side of the mountain here, I'm sitting out there with my bare feet. I'm watching the sunrise along with my wife. And I got off about as many clothes as I can, being socially acceptable. And I'm doing some breathing. I'm doing Erwin LaCour's breathing method as I'm watching the sunrise. Okay, get done with that. Get back up to the house, do a little bit of rebounding while I'm praying. I like overlapping and, mixing things together if I possibly can. And then I go out there and do some grounding while I am absolutely naked. And I'm doing my Bible memorization stuff. And then I go out, and then I, go back inside, cook something to eat, get back out. And then once again, I'm naked. So, hey, if my neighbor next door on the next 100 acres over, hey, bro, you want to fly that drone over here one more time, you're going to see something you never thought you'd see before. Because I'm out there, I eat naked while grounded, sitting in my rocking chair out there. No earbuds, which I used to wear all the time out here. You leave my phone in airplane mode unless I got to use it. And when I do, I'm usually barefoot outside. And it's, I said, look, I could keep going on and on and on about all the little hacks I'm doing. Some of them I learned from you. But from there, I mean, am I off to a decent start?
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing is not overthinking, in my opinion, the routine, right? Like it's whatever you're doing. You're being outside and moving and being connected, like that's the win, right? Like spending time with your wife, it's being in a meditative state, the gratitude, the sunshine, the fresh air, like you're winning, man. Like you're doing amazing.
Well, the number one question I'm getting right now is why, because I think they heard you say it in the last one, or maybe they caught it. I'm not sure where they caught it, but I'm going down this list of questions that folks have asked right off. So from the very beginning, why is the morning sunlight non-negotiable in this protocol? What's so important about it?
Yeah, and so like the big part of that is it actually starts before, right? Like at night. And so in this transition, everything oscillates in life. And so in order to have, I really don't like the word homeostasis because we really don't have anything in balance. It's a constant, you look at a wave, right? It's up and down. It's seasons. It's all kinds of things that move back and forth. We're never at balance until we are at rigor mortis, right? Like dead. So it's really important to understand that our hormones do the same exact thing. And so when we need that melatonin cycle to come in, it actually starts in the morning. And if we don't just completely destroy it through the day and the night with the blue lights that you kept mentioning, then we can't have the appropriate oscillation of hormones. So cortisol, melatonin, leptin, like we have a lot of things going on there. So when we have that infrared input, it actually causes the TCA cycle to spin properly as well. And so like, the ketogenic diet's a big thing, right? And beta oxidation is how we break down fats. We cannot properly do that if the TCA cycle is not spinning clockwise. Okay, so it's really important, little nuance there. It can't spin clockwise without this morning infrared input. That's a big deal, right? So the morning sun just gives you so many ways of like setting the time. So it, for anybody that may be into like cryptocurrency, with blockchains and stuff, you have what's called time stamping, right? And that's what's going on. We also have time stamping in biology, and that is what we call circadian rhythms.
So, okay, let's say you're a person that likes to get up at the crack of noon. What's can it? I mean, can you? Okay, let's say you're a person that doesn't get up before sunrise, as I do, and then get out there and see it rise. Could you still get the benefit of that? If, let's say you got up at 9 o'clock. I mean, what's the problem with doing that?
Yeah, it's gonna be well because how the spectrums come, right? And so depending at 9 o'clock means something different in December in Anchorage than it does in El Salvador, right? In June. So you have a huge variation there. And so like that morning sun is always at a different time at different locations. So one of the phenomenons that's super cool actually, and that we don't really understand, but I think it's a big deal, and it goes back to this time stamping, is something called the green flash. And so a lot of people that are at a beach are able to see this. So they're right before and right after sunset. So right before sunrise and right after sunset, there is this flash of green light. Again, I think this is a part of that time stamping. So if we're not there to experience that, you're not going to experience that. You're not going to get the appropriate timing. And now the timing as an abstract conversation with this is very, very, very hard to grasp. But timing is so unbelievably important. And so like if we think that it's not, let's think about seasonal affective disorder. Let's think about shift work syndrome. Let's think about a lot of the things that we know don't work. We think about when is the time of plant, when is the time of harvest. There is timing is extremely important across everything. So not having that appropriate time stamp for the morning is not going to allow anything to work really, really fine too. Just think about ancestrally speaking. You didn't have a choice, right? Like we didn't have lights at night. We got up with the sun. We went to bed with the sun. And so like it's these frontal lobes and our ability to create technology that has allowed us to decouple from nature and thus have these consequences.
Well, they seem to be very deleterious consequences at that. I mean, just by changing up some of these things, man, everything is going so much better in my life in terms of, I mean, yeah, we're experiencing some spiritual and technological attacks and stuff like that. But outside of that, I'm seeing I'm kind of taking stock of myself every month or so. And I'm like, man, okay, well, doing this is really helping. And, I'm moving the needle further and further and further, and combining all these things seems to be helping in a very, very big way. A few other things I know to tighten up. Now, some of the other questions here is why grounding, and is it okay to combine? I mean, it's sort of a rhetorical question, but is it okay to combine these methods at the same time, like grounding while doing the sun, or is that recommended? Is it preferable, or should you do otherwise?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can think of us as like a coffee pot. So when we're grounded, the coffee pot's more efficient, right? So like when we are grounded, we're more efficient because we are an electromagnetic being. And so all of the inner workings of our body are just like in a lot of ways the electronics that we use. And so that ground wire is going to allow for more efficiency throughout the entire system. So collagen is a semiconductor. All of the electrons are moved through the fascia, like network, bones. Bones are piezoelectric. So everything is moving these electrons. This is a big part of where you're getting electrons from having the bare feet on the ground. And then that goes into liver, it's packaged into fat, and then leptin, as long as we're appropriately optimized, and that goes back to the sunrise thing, we can put it in the right place. But this is also ties into our inability to convert these electrons into usable things. And that's why we're seeing this epidemic of like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We're seeing an epidemic of visceral fat accumulation, and those have a just complete cascade of negatives. So grounding in the sun is perfect. It's what we were designed to do.
Now, there's going to be a number of people out there, and this is some of the other questions I've gotten as well, like thinking, hey, I'm on a keto diet. I'm good to go. is, from your perspective, is that good enough?
Absolutely not. So nothing about biology is predicated on nutrition. As crazy as that just sounds, like I know somebody's head just exploded. It's all about light. Okay, so when we look at food, to have the myopic look that macros matter is missing absolutely everything about how we operate. Okay, so our mitochondria have this thing called the electron transport chain. Okay, and now we do get those protons and electrons from fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, but it's all about the protons and the electrons. So when we're looking at a ketogenic diet, what we really need to be looking at is where that food is coming from. Okay, and so more than the macros, we need to be looking at what is called that photosynthetic barcode. Okay, so this is where it goes back into the permaculture, the biodynamic farming, that local, those regenerative food systems, why they matter so much. They matter a lot more than just economically. They matter a lot from basis of health. So that plant that we're growing, let's just use a tomato for example, Billy. The tomato requires what? Well, a certain temperature, a certain solar input, soil, nutrients within the soil, all of this that come together with air and sunlight, right? CO2 and water create sugar and mass for this plant to be able to grow, right? So we take that, and these are made up of these atoms that have a specific nuclear spin, made up of protons and electrons that come together, and that tells our body this solar input. It's a match, right? So if you're growing the tomato on your property, it's having the same exact exposure you are, assuming you're out in the sun with it, but you're in the same geographic time and location. It's really, really important to keep from chaos. So we can have a ketogenic diet, but we're shipping in nothing but almonds from across the world that has a completely different photo barcode with it, and it creates confusion because it's not just about the lack of carbohydrates and just fats.
See, I heard you say that before, and I was like, good night, man. I'm going to have to give up avocados. And I have. I mean, and I just replaced it with local butter. I mean, okay, I see no downside with that. But it's funny that in a lot of these, when I was following some of these other, I guess you could call them health protocols or something like that, you know, when I take stock of it, I'm like, okay, macadamia nuts don't grow here. These almonds don't necessarily, not here in the mountains, they don't grow. There's a whole gang of things that are in a lot of these diets that are from other parts of the doggone, some of them not even in this hemisphere. So that part made so much more sense to me. So Logan, I mean, it just seems to me, now I'm going to break this down in a very simple way, at least the way I understand it, is that the more and more I'm learning from you and others like you, and there ain't a whole lot of them out there. Trust me, folks, I'm looking. There ain't a whole lot of them out there. It seems like the closer we get back, I mean, in this world where everything seems to be growing by leaps and bounds, you know, this technological breakthrough, this thing, and it seems to me the more we get back to the earth, I mean, as cliche as that might sound, it seems the better we become, the closer we get back to nature. And I mean, am I just a little too simplistic in thinking that?
No. We can look at the NHANES data. So the more money we spend on technology, we perfectly aligns with more chronic disease. Period. Like, so, I mean, all the data is there. And so the more technologically advanced we get, the sicker we get. That has been from, you know, Tesla and the power grid. Like we have seen this over time, and much more than food. Like, this is what's changed more, is this artificial lifestyle than even the food. I'm not saying food doesn't matter, but it's without question, it's the lack of sunlight and it's the artificial lights that are destroying biology.
Well, man, it seems you know, the more and more I'm becoming more of a Luddite every single day. And in fact, a lot of what we're doing now is even going a little more primitive in how we do our farming and some of the other things that we do. Not that we didn't already do it, but I mean, even pushing it a little bit further in so many different ways, because it seems like the old ways were even better. I mean, simple things like even using, for example, copper tools that work so much better in a garden than, let's say, steel tools. Well, that's what they use for time immemorial. And it wasn't until the modern era. And it seems like every single time we take a step back and get closer to nature, it seems like we just, things seem to work a little bit better in every single way. Now, speaking about these technological breakthroughs, and then I'm going to go somewhere with all this here in a minute, but I just wanted to hit some of the big questions that folks are asking. Okay, what would be the good health protocol regarding, well, first of all, let me ask you what you think about, I mean, we all need them. We all use them these days, computers, cell phones, things like that. What's the good health strategy when it comes to those things? Because you'll hear people in the mainstream scientific community saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with these things. What's your opinion on those?
It's killing us. Like, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And this is not new stuff. So we are, like I said earlier, electromagnetic beings. And so anything that disrupts that coherence within how we are supposed to be operating is going to be destructive. And so, I mean, this is Becker, Robert O. Becker proved this without a shadow of doubt in the 60s and 70s, right? That's why he was canceled. Read the book Going Somewhere, Andrew Marino. It chronicles this whole story, and it's extremely eye-opening. Read Apple's inserts. It's all there. This is not conspiracy. It's like that we know that EMFs, especially non-native EMFs, are causing a biological toll. I mean, look at Steve Jobs, right? It is right there in our faces. So there's obviously, we all have to prioritize what we want. To me, and I'm far from perfect, so I'm not sitting up here preaching to anybody about I'm doing this perfect and you should do what I do. I'm just laying out. We all have to prioritize how we want to live. If it is all about making money and doing that, and we're not as worried about longevity and time, then so be it. That's everybody's choice. But if we're going to try to have that happy medium, there's little things like the blue blocking glasses you're doing, getting some film to cover that light in the refrigerator, getting the iris software. My screen's actually red. I can barely even see you. I have the reptile lights on behind the computer that have infrared and UVA spectrums. So there's ways of mitigating that. My phone screen is completely red. I use a red little night light for my kids in the bathrooms, so they don't go in there and turn on the vanity light. So there's ways to go about it. We just need to know that more EMFs, the more negative it's going to be. And we know this is, a really good example is Southern California. We have people out in the sun all the time that have low vitamin D. Well, it's because they're in essentially a space station, right? They're in a completely non-native. I've got, one of my best friends is in LA. She's moving soon. But she's out on the beach with her little EMF detector, and it's just going off. Wow. Just on the beach, not even in the city, just on the outskirts. And so all of these things are just adding up that are completely destroying health. So the more we get back into nature, the more is a challenge because it's less conformity, right? Of the way that society teaches, go to school, make good grades, get a good job, sit on a computer for 40 years, retire, and then go hang out on a beach or whatever. That life is not conducive to getting a lot of people to that retirement age, right? Life expectancy is decreasing in the United States. The cost of healthcare is increasing, right? It's just crazy when you really start to take all these pieces and put them together on where we truly are. It's just terrifying. So we have to make the choice. Live like the Amish, which a lot of people are like, I don't want to live like that. Okay, well, they got a lot of stuff figured out that we don't. They're not nearly as sick as we are. And, maybe there's some lessons to be learned there.
Yeah, and I think I actually heard it today that their average lifespan was 85 years old, and we're 10 years below that. So they're doing some things, or apparently a lot of things right. Here's some other stuff that people wanted to know about, and it was regarding their kids. And not everybody. Not everybody has possession of their kids, and maybe they go to public schools or something like that. Or, how on earth do you manage it? Since you have younger kids, my son's grown up and I got a grandbaby, so I don't have to worry about that sort of thing just yet. But, how do you manage this protocol, especially in your case where you discussed the last time where your son overcame cancer? How do you manage that in this day and age where in every, like you're talking about your friend sitting on the beach getting bombarded with EMF signals? I took my tri-field meter and I went around this house trying to figure out where, I couldn't even believe what we had going on in this place. It was pegging off the charts, and I live in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And come to find out, it's the fluorescent lights we had. So I replaced those, and I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and figure out a way to get around this stuff. So for me, it was relatively easy. But regarding kids and stuff like that, how do you handle this sort of thing, especially when you have a kid that was a little bit prone to this sort of thing as he goes off to school or to a store or whatever? How do you manage all that?
Well, this conversation is super dear to my heart, right? Like, so I'm the daddy of 4, right? And I homeschool because of this topic. But there's a lot of facets to all this, to where, the whole attack and destruction of the nuclear family, society's requirement that both parents be working to be able to live, like, those are big issues before we even get into how do we deal with that, right? Because that's the first buts that you're going to get. Well, we both have to work, we both have to contribute to pay the bills, we have to send our kids off to schools or whatever. So like, I think we really need to do some soul searching as a society on how we really should go about raising our children. So that is one, because I guarantee you a lot of those things are easier than trying to navigate a childhood cancer diagnosis. I promise. Right. So when I look at that, it's all about what we talked about at the front. How do I connect them babies more with nature? Like, they're running around barefoot with hardly any clothes on all day, every day. My kids can run a forklift. They can check people out. My 10-year-old daughter can unload a truck with a forklift and run a cash register by herself, right? Like, so I think there's a different way that we need to also look into education. It's like, what kind of education are we really going? If my kids want to be a doctor, we're going to have a little more structured and certain things we got to do. If they want to live life and be a successful entrepreneur, they're getting a pretty dadgum on, education right every day. And so that, to me, is super, super important, that they learn life skills and they have an education based on foundations that are going to let them be successful. That light is killing them. So if you've ever been to a restaurant and you look around, you see all the kids sitting there on screens, right? What that's doing is completely destroying their frontal lobe. It's completely destroying their brains. And we know that they're extremely addicted, because when that parent takes that phone away, what do?
They lose their mind. Yeah.
Right. They absolutely lose it. And so, I can get into this deep science of that. It's all about dopamine. And so when we have any sort of what's called melanin degradation, so anytime that we break down melanin, this is so much more than skin color and a tan. It is an integral part of the workings of this entire electromagnetic being that we are. And it breaks down and provides a dopamine hit. Okay, because dopamine is required to make melanin. So the reverse of that is it breaks down into the precursors or the constituents, and dopamine being one. Dopamine has a 2-minute half-life. Okay, so you get this little hit, right? Every time we get on that screen, we get blasted with this blue light. We have a little bit of melanin breakdown, gives us a dopamine hit, makes us feel good in the moment for a second, and then it's gone. But the melanin's also gone, because the only way to make the melanin is to be in the UVB light, right? Same with the vitamin D. So if we're not in that UVB light and constantly regenerating melanin, and we're constantly degrading it and destroying it with these EMFs, with the blue light, now, hello, Parkinson's, right? That's exactly what this is. Hello, melanoma. That's what it is. The body is inside starving for melanin, so it sends out melanocytes to try to capture whatever it can. This is also why the sun doesn't cause cancer, skin cancer. It does not cause melanoma. It's the exact opposite. UVB is the antidote for melanoma. And so this is, we can go on another tangent there. But the big thing, Billy, is those screens, those lights those kids are going under. You mentioned the fluorescence and the EMF meter going off. They're on laptops now, not even reading books, or on iPads or tablets or whatever. And they are completely getting blasted. Right? Just blasted. You look at all these kids. Most of them have these little pale faces. They've got these allergy shiner black eyes. They've got chronic ear infections, tonsillitis. They probably had their tonsils already taken out. And it's all interrelated to what we're saying. And we're going to act like it's the pollen from ragweed. It's absolutely insanity. So we're killing our kids with these blue light babysitters. And then we're pretending like that's not a massive deal. And then we're protecting them protecting, in quotes, them from the sun by slathering them sunglasses. And God forbid we put sunglasses on these babies in hats, long sleeves. We don't really let them play outside, and they can't repair. So infrared and UV light is how we repair all of this damage that we're constantly doing in this artificial light.
So, I mean, wow, that was a great answer. But man, it just created 10 more questions in here, man. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get through all this, but so explain this to me, and then I want to go back, and then I want to go forward. So your friend's out there on the beach in a place where vitamin D should be plentiful. So do I understand it correctly that while her body would ordinarily take in vitamin D, it's being zapped out as quick as it came in because of all the EMF? Is that what's happening?
Basically, our body's not able to convert it. It's not able to synthesize vitamin D when you're getting bombarded with the EMFs. I see. And now here's another really, really, really big one. I had some friends visit a while back, and the sun wasn't even that bad out. They showed up, and now I ain't gonna lie, bro. With what I've learned from Dr. Cruz, and it's a fraction of what you know. Every time I see somebody with sunglasses on, I just absolutely cringe. I was at a feed store, saw an old boy walk out. Soon as he took 2 steps out of that store, he started sneezing, and then he reached for his sunglasses and put them on. Yep.
What on earth? I mean, why are sunglasses? Because you kind of mentioned a moment ago, why are sunglasses so awful? I mean, I know everybody's out here following the dictates of fashion because, the girls wear those big old bug-eyed glasses everywhere. What's so awful about sunglasses?
Yeah, so you actually hit on something really, really important before you got into the sunglasses. So when we go outside and we sneeze, that tells you that you have an issue, right? You don't have enough melanin. And this is a vasopressin reaction, okay? So when we have in between any of our senses in the brain is melanin, okay? So the olfactory is connected to the brain with a melanin sheet, for lack of a better term. So any time that there's a disconnection there's something that happens. The sneezing is one. So you'll have a lot of people. That means they're blue light toxic and they're not in the sun enough. Anytime you sneeze when you see the sun. Okay. So then the sunglasses are extremely damaging because we have what's called visual and non-visual photoreceptors. Okay. So how the retina work, how the eyes work is absolutely fascinating. And it's all predicated on light. Okay. So like there's 3 spectrums. It's blue, red, and green is what we see in these peaks through the rods and cones. These opsins, which are light detectors, it hits. There's also a melanin component that goes there. And the entire metabolism, the way that energy is produced, is utilized through light. And so all of this signaling then goes into the brain. Your eyes are actually part of your brain. So when you hit the covering of this, and we have what's called melanopsin, these are blue light detectors all in our brain. So these visual photoreceptors, visual being eyes, that you block, you're blocking certain signals from the body now, or from the brain. And now we have what's called non-visual photoreceptors that are on our skin, right? Non-visual, not eyes. So when we are getting a different input on our skin and we're getting from the visual photoreceptors, you're creating mass chaos, right? And so this is why you'll hear a lot of people that get this message and like, oh, I quit wearing sunglasses and I stopped burning. Well, it's because you're getting the same signals, right? Your eyes, your visual photoreceptors and brain are getting the same signals that your skin are, and it can respond accordingly. And so like I going back to this whole melanin, this dopamine hit that we're talking about with that constant destruction of internal melanin with this blue light, we repair and we rebuild that with infrared and UV light. So you're completely blocking that out. Also, when you're slathered with sunscreen, you're hiding from the sun, you're blocking your eyes. And it's, we're seeing left and right macular degeneration, myopia, everything being reversed with the eye problems when people get off of the computers and out in the sun. And it's just like, it's crazy because it's the exact opposite of what we're told by the optometrists and dermatologists.
It's, you know what? I'm really starting to think whether it's politics, no matter what it is, whether it's history, it seems like whatever is universally taught in just about, and I think I can make a pretty good argument for this, in every single thing that I was officially taught has turned out to be a manufactured lie. I mean, they can't even get, and I don't care what it is. And I've been saying it on this show that every single time I put in the research and I look into something, anything that was officially taught the sunscreen, man. And it sucks because I know people in my own family, of course, they won't listen to me. And that's part of the reason why I wanted you on here is there's a reason why doctors are not supposed to treat their own family because of familiarity. They just don't take them seriously.
Right.
And I'm hoping if maybe they heard there's just so many people I know out there that are dealing with some pretty awful things, and so are their kids. And it seems to me that the solutions are embarrassingly simple, just like Bill Mollison in permaculture talks about. And like you said, the problems of this world become more and more complex, but the solutions are embarrassingly simple. So, on that heel, on some of those solutions, are there some other strategies people could employ? Let's say, well, let me just ask you, what does your daily routine look like? I know you're not perfect, but if you could just model the perfect day for a person, because I know some people that are going to be listening to this right now, because as soon as we're done, I'm going to send it over to them and say, look, okay, now you're hearing it from Logan. Okay, now you can believe it. What is the ideal day from the time you get up in the morning? And you're, like you said a moment ago, you're managing kids, you're managing business, you're doing a whole lot of things, you're doing a podcast, you got a whole lot of irons in the fire. But if you could just carve out the most perfect day in terms of body health that you could, if you could.
Yeah. So, like for me is I don't have an alarm set or anything. I wake up when I wake up, and that's typically between 5:30 and I actually was like 7 this morning, which is late for me. I get up, I go straight outside to my rocking chair that's out in the front yard. And I sit there and I start on actually the phone, which is not great, but barefoot out in the sun, I start writing. It's typically the only time I have completely alone. I get to writing articles, or listening to a podcast, something like that, sit in the rocking chair, just chill. You get to watch the sunrise, hear the birds, all the cows, they come up because I got zebu cattle and some sheep and chickens and stuff, and just be out there. But just somehow getting into that morning sun and connecting with the ground, that is one of the most important things that we can absolutely do. So right there around that transition where we go into infrared to UVA coming in, that's about the best time to eat. Okay. So break the fast, right? You eat in the morning. So the whole thing with intermittent fasting and skipping breakfast is garbage. I'm just going to be completely honest. It's actually a stressor when we do that. Okay. So if we're going to skip any sort of meal, do dinner, just eat early and skip dinner. That's when we need to intermittent fast, not breakfast. And again, there's a whole cascade of hormone issues that go into that. And then you just kind of start the day what you do. For me, I'm very grateful, but this is also the way I've constructed my own life is I have an outdoor market, right? An outdoor farmer's market. So I get to spend the whole day under these 80, 90-year-old pecan trees, moving produce, talking to people, all the stuff in between, meetings and podcasts, phone calls. So just how we do that. I think for somebody that is going to work in an office, pretend to smoke and go have a smoke break, right? Like, so how do you get outside? Just get that morning as good as you possibly can and being exposed. Try to get outside intermittently throughout the day. If you can, formulate your life to be agrarian and be outside more. I think that's a big need we need as society too. In the evenings, as soon as we get closed, I typically do a cold plunge. And then we will cook dinner, hang out with the animals, play in the yard, ride bikes, throw the football, jump on the trampoline, that kind of stuff. If we go in for like a movie night, we all wear our blue blocking glasses. I've got all the kids completely covered up, the lights are getting them. And then we go to bed. It's just like, I don't know, it's pretty simple, good life to me.
Now, I got to ask, you brought up the cold plunge. What's the benefit of doing that? As far as, it's become in vogue. You hear people like Joe Rogan talking about it. A number of other podcasters, it seems like it's become in vogue right now. What would be the benefit of doing that cold plunge?
Cold's huge. Cold's a big deal. Now, with one caveat, like we need to know our mitochondrial haplotype. Okay, so we have what's called coupled and uncoupled. So this uncoupled means that we can handle cold and we're able to produce heat endogenously better and more efficiently. So think more equatorial based origin, we're going to be coupled. We're not going to be able to handle the cold nearly as well as if we have the maternal lineage, this coupled haplotype coming from, say, Nairobi, right? This is why somebody from Nairobi can come run marathons and kick everybody's butt. But if they're going to be, say how the Somalis are in Detroit or Milwaukee or some of these more northern, cities, they have an absolute health destruction. That's why, we see stroke belts, we see all MS, we see all kinds of things. So that's extremely, extremely important. Not everybody needs the cold. So now for anybody that has the coupled haplotype, so this is going to be more, think Northern European, right? So where we're having the extreme colds. There's Nordic, Swedish, like me being Irish. So when you have this, again, maternal, we get our mitochondria from our mother, and our mother, like it's all that maternal lineage. Then we're able to process the cold a lot better. And there's actually some huge benefits to that. Again, this is why you're going to hear me to a lot of the Weston A. Price ancestral type works. That matters a lot. So we have two extremes on this, and I promise I'll get to the cold. But this is something that's extremely important, and why that conversation I had with Dr. Moore, everybody needs to listen to on melanin. So the darker naturally we are, so the more natural melanin we are, the more sun we need. Okay, the less naturally melanated that we are, the more cold we need. Okay, so that's two extremes within this. Now, the cold, if it's appropriate for you, is to think of a phone. We set our phone out on the hood of a car and we get it in hot. What happens? You get a heat warning and it shuts down, right? The semiconductors don't work properly. The electronics don't work properly, okay? Now we can do the same phone, throw it in the freezer, we pull it out, and it works just fine. This is the efficiency on cold is right there. This is the cold increases the electromagnetic efficiency, okay? So for a lot of us, we are so destroyed, like we really are. That's why we're sick with our redox, our heteroplasmy. This is the efficiency of the mitochondria. Cold helps align all of those things. It allows for this endogenous electromagnetic signal. This goes into biophotons that I think we talked about a little bit about that on the last episode. It helps realign everything, and the more EMF toxic you are, the more we need it, and the more of an uncoupled haplotype that we are, the more we need it. So when you think about how ancestrally appropriate this is, Billy, is like we would have been in springs. We would have been wearing relatively a small amount of clothes. We would have had temperature fluctuations from the day to the night, right? We would have had fire. I'm talking about ancestrally, like, well, let's go way, way, way back. We would have experienced temperature shifts. Now, that's two stark contrasts if we're in Greenland or if we're in at Nairobi, right? Like this is a completely different ability to adapt. And I know some people are going to not like the word, but evolve, right? In how things are. And so cold can help realign absolutely everything if it's the right match.
But okay, let's say you got this. Let's say you got a guy who, it was funny because I heard Steve Harvey. He was on another podcast, and I'm probably not going to get this perfect, but he was talking about. It was he, and I think it was on with Gary Brecka. Now, there's some things that are probably good and bad about Gary Brecka, but I won't get into any of that right now. But he was talking about how he didn't necessarily feel the benefit of doing cold therapy. I think you just explained why.
Yeah, it's all about the mitochondria, every bit of it.
Yeah, because if he has a haplotype that's obviously not from the Arctic, I mean, he's probably not going to respond well to this cold.
Exactly.
So
you can actually have an aberrant effect, a negative effect when you do that sort of a mismatch.
Wow. Okay. So is there a test somebody can find out? I mean, some of us out there, we only know who our dad is because our mom told us. So, I mean,
and again, that's why I harped on that maternal lineage, right? That is extremely important. So our mom matters more. Mom matters more for kids, like for all of us. And so mom's mom is important too, right? So those two are the most important to know lineage wise. So that can be done through, you know, a DNA test or whatever. And there's some that you can do specifically for mitochondrial haplotypes. And there's a bunch, but the two main groups are that coupled and uncoupled. But yeah, knowing mom and mom's mom is extremely important.
Wow. Okay, that explains so much, because I don't know if like I said, I don't know if it was Steve Harvey or somebody else, but it was a black guy, and he was talking about how, man, if nothing else, I felt worse after doing it. So I guess you just explained the reasons why. Okay, that makes tons of sense to me.
Well, and it's just like, you know, Alexis Cowan. So Alexis's mom is, I think, Swedish. So his mom's white, dad's black. So she actually has what Cruz would say the best of both worlds, right? Like, so she's more melanated. She's able to use the sun way better. She also has these uncoupled haplotypes to where she can utilize the cold, right? So like this is one of those things. Is like, I'm always trying to get darker. I'm always trying to get a tan. I'm always trying to get my kids tan because I understand the importance of cold. But I also got all them kids using that cold therapy. Like even my 3-year-old jumps in there for a couple seconds at least, right? She just thinks it's cool doing what dad and big brother and sister are doing. So when you understand how we use it, light, water, and magnetism, it makes all of this a lot easier to apply as well. And I think that's why we do need to understand some science, and it doesn't need to be dumbed down for us. I think that we need to fully be able to understand that the magnetic side, right, the magnetochemistry works better with cold. That's the electro side is more of the sun.
No, it makes perfect sense. And then once again, it's getting back to nature exactly the way it was meant to be. And here it is. I mean, we think we're so doggone advanced, and here it is. We're killing ourselves. I mean, we're victims of comfort, it seems. It's just, man, this is just a tragedy just waiting to unfold. And now they're talking about rolling out 6G. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. I'll be honest with you, bro. Half the day, I spend probably 80% of the day outside. You know, once I started learning this stuff, I'm realizing, okay, man, I'm doing it all backwards. Everybody in construction, everybody that does farming, we usually get our work done early, and then whatever clerical stuff I had to do, I would do midday, you know, inside or whatever. Now I've flipped it all around. Any physical stuff I got to do out in the sun is out there in the doggone sun with really nothing. Sometimes the only thing I got on, I got these see-through shorts Dr. Cruz talked about. I don't even know the name of them, but you know, everything's getting sun, and I mean everything. Now I wouldn't wear them to town because when he said everything's getting sun, well, people can see things too. That maybe so. Just be forewarned, folks. You show up here and you catch me unannounced, there ain't no telling what you might see. But no, I mean, it seems like I'm doing as much of my work outside with as little clothes on as absolutely possible. Now, before we lose the time here, bro, I got to ask you about a nighttime routine, because it seems, I think in this modern world, that was one of the biggest areas where I was struggling at first, because until I was realizing, okay, I'm now of the habit where I leave my phone in the red mode, the iPhone I have. It stays red until I know there's blue light outside, which for where we are this time of year is about 9:15 or so. Okay. So that thing stays red until, I may get on there, but I'm usually grounded and that thing stays red. But now most people are never, ever, ever going to do that. And by the way, folks, maybe Logan can tell you how to turn that thing red. Look, I'm the world's biggest Luddite. I don't know how to do it. I just know that I hit that button 3 times and the screen goes red, and I guess it has very little, if no, blue light at all. So it's the nighttime routine I think is going to really, really, really mess up a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
Now, I went and bought a blue light blocker. I mean, we're not big TV watchers or anything like that, but, you know, we may sit down and watch something. And so I bought this little cover that supposedly blocks out the blue light from there. And then you got certain TVs. Look, I ain't about to spend another $500 on a TV. I just ain't going to do it. I'll retrofit what I got, or I'll wear these glasses, whatever the case may be. But I got to think that nighttime, well, instead of me leading the question, why don't I just ask you, what is the problem with using lights after the sun goes down? We talked about, during the day and what we should avoid, but what should our nighttime protocol look like?
Well, there's a lot of things, but like the number one thing that I think is going to resonate with people is that blue light destroys melatonin. And we know that melatonin is very crucial for the repair mechanisms, for sleep. And this is why you got so many people popping melatonin, which I do not recommend. We need it naturally produced. It's why we have so many people with sleep issues, with insomnia, all the things. It's those blue lights in your face. Like, just cut those out if you want to sleep. And so, like, we're completely destroying melatonin with that. And to be honest, like, even like a candle light can destroy melatonin. All right. And this is why we see a lot of those diseases that were even with like the royalty of Egypt, right? Like all of them had the same modern diseases we did. They lived inside of a palace. They didn't see the sunrise. They weren't out in the sun. They had all the fire. And then this is completely contrary to how the ones building the pyramids and working outside work. They were actually healthy. And so, like, we know this from Peter Unger's work, who's at the University of Arkansas, that's been studying the skulls. So when we have light at the inappropriate time, especially ones that break down melanin, destroy melatonin, it's just a cascading. So, like, no light at night is one of the equally as important as that sunrise is. It's yoked together. And so if you are in your bedroom and you can hold your hand like that and see it, it's too bright in there. And for most people, you're going to be shocked. And then, so even if you you're getting ready for bed and then you just got to go to the bathroom, you go in there and you flip the light on and you blast it, you completely screw up your entire circadian rhythm, even for a few seconds while you go to the bathroom while you're getting blasted with that light. Go to the refrigerator, get a drink, stand there. Like, it's unbelievable once you get accustomed to attempting for everything to be dark, how bright everything is.
Man, ain't that the truth? In fact, I put dimmers and I put those Nera light bulbs in everything that we have around here. And so it's on a dimmer. So like you said, I got to get up and go to the bathroom or whatever. When I hit that switch, I know it's just going to be like so minuscule that maybe you might pee all over the doggone seat if you ain't paying attention. So, or lift it up. Hey, ladies, okay, I'll actually lift it up. So, and I put it back down because my wife will have a conniption if I don't. So, let's go through I made a little lightning round for you here. So, as we come near to the end of this, so sunrise or sunset, which one can you not miss?
Sunrise.
Is there a benefit to looking at the sunset?
Absolutely.
Same benefit, or
goes back to what we were talking about really with that time stamping, right? So like we set our day and we end our day with the sun.
All right. So cold plunge or barefoot grounding, which one gives you the bigger boost? If you had to only pick one.
Billy, don't do that to me. I know they're both unbelievably important if it's the appropriate fit. They're so important. I'll tell you something I did is I actually got a copper wire, grounded it, put it into my cold plunge, and made a big loop down at the bottom of it. So my cold plunge is even grounded. They're both extremely important.
Okay, well, that's how you get. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. Stacking functions, man. Sounds like we're talking to another permaculture designer here. So what food will you never touch again after knowing what you know about mitochondrial health?
Man, just anything processed, really. Like I just don't. Like couldn't even tell you the last time I've even looked at a candy and even like wanted it. The more foreign it is from nature, the worse it's going to be for you too. So like, that local seasonal natural, Billy, is like so unbelievably important. It's different for every single one of us too.
No, I'm right there with you, man. I got peaches falling off. We're about ready to fall off this tree, and I can't wait to get into them. And so that's, okay. So concerning diet, can you eat peaches doing what you do? Could you
Absolutely.
eat fruit? Can you?
Absolutely.
So in accordance with what you said a little bit earlier, if it's local, if it's seasonal, no problem with that, huh?
But you're not going to be able to eat those peaches in December because they're not out there on your tree, right? So like that's the big difference in understanding that seasonality of it.
Which, by the way, did you ever so what if I can them peaches? Because I wondered, you asked Dr. Cruz that question, and I swear I've been wondering, did you ever get an answer to that?
Yeah, no, it's not good. And it goes back to that photosynthetic barcode that we're talking about. So like when you can something, and I know I'm going to get some hate for this, and guys, I own a grocery store. I sell the fire out of canned stuff. You are disrupting the light inputs. You're destroying the essence of whatever that was, and you're taking it from a season. So like, Fritz Pop laid out everything living produces biophotons. So like you can get online and see like a cut up an apple, and you can see the light being emitted. Like you're getting rid of all that. Like you're destroying all the light. Now the difference, that it's an extremely important caveat, and that I was trying to get Jack to elaborate on, is that fermented foods are different. Right? Fermented foods have bacteria. Bacteria produce light. Bacteria are susceptible to the time, temperature, and season of life too. So fermented foods are different than canned foods.
Okay, that's awesome, because my wife just did a bunch of carrots, and we had so many cucumbers. She made so many pickles. So as long as they're fermented, which they are, that's the exception. Okay, that's cool. Man, I don't know if I ain't ever ate no pickled peaches before, bro. So hey, I'm just gonna have to enjoy it for, while the sun's shining. Okay, so the next one here. Supplements that you think people are wasting their money on.
About all of them.
Okay, so you definitely are no big fan of melatonin.
No, so like and this is another thing, is like I own a health food store, right? I own a grocery store. Supplements are a huge part of what people want, and the more that you understand it, the more I think vitamin D is about the worst one you can do. It in a pill is not the same as from the sun. I think minerals are extremely important. So if you're going to go do like a multivitamin and stuff, like I think you're not only throwing your money away, you're hurting yourself, right? And so like this is where you got to get into the nuances of understanding folic acid versus methylated folate versus foodborne folate that you would get in like fish. And so like there's a huge difference in all those. Like if we are going to supplement, there's really only about, I don't know, 3 or 4 that I would recommend. That Icelandic water, that's one. That's a supplement you need. That's a low deuterium. I know we didn't get into that. Deuterium depleted water, that's another one. Humic and fulvic complexes. I think a lot of y'all in the permaculture world will be familiar with what those are. There are versions that we eat or we can take, and this provides minerals. It also provides electrolytes, which are minerals too, but also the ability to help detox. This humic will act as almost like a blood detoxification, helps get rid of glyphosate and a lot of other things. But that's a very, very close to nature supplement in humic and fulvic complexes. And so minerals are super important, and a lot of people are going to have massive benefits when they supplement with, say, a magnesium or a copper. And I understand that. I've seen people's lives change. But when you understand how that's packaged and how that is going into the body, you start pulling back from it and try to get those minerals in another way.
So do you take anything at all outside? I mean, do you personally, I mean, do you take anything at all? I mean, outside of maybe the humic and fulvic complex or anything like that, or salt?
Some probiotics. So, Just Thrive. And that's another one. And it's tricky, and you get a little bit of mixed science in there. So if you ask Jack says it's a scam, you're wasting your money. But I have seen people's lives changed when they take a probiotic. So like it's one of those things that you just kind of got to weigh, maybe even anecdotally, or just what your own experience is. So I can see where probiotics would be absolutely important. But when you understand that the sun dictates those gut clocks, you know that a reason that we're so destroyed of our gut microbiome is because we're not in nature, right? We're not breathing in the microbes out in the woods, the eating dirt, eating things that are going to colonize the microbiome. We're not in the sun. We're not getting any of that right. That's why our guts are wrecked. Glyphosate even acts as a antibiotic too, right? So like when we're consuming these things, there's a lot of factors, but not being in the sun is a big deal. So having your shirt off, being directly in the sun, getting it on your belly, I've seen this eliminate constipation, Billy. Like that is so important. more than trying to get a pill. But lowering those deuterium levels, that's a big deal. And getting minerals, ideally it should be from a biodynamic farm and it's in your food. But that is obviously not always the case.
Awesome. So what's the worst health advice you ever followed before you knew better?
All the supplements. I've wasted just many thousands of dollars on supplements. Yeah. When you go down, and this is probably going to resonate with somebody, when you go down some of these conditions, so fill in the blank conditions, one of them is going to be what's called MTHFR. So it's a gene variation it's about methylation. It's like hyper too fast or hypo, right? So when you start seeing this rabbit trail, everything gets blamed on, well, I have the MTHFR variation, one of the two. And then you start getting people that will throw your B vitamins, right? Like your folate, folic acid, and then you start having that conversation around that. Well, what they don't tell you is that your B vitamins are actually chromophores. They're light detectors, and this is a big part on how that you have that gene expression. And so again, I think we may hit on this a little bit, but that Scott and Mark Kelly, the astronauts, are two of the most important things that we all can know. The Kelly brother that was up in the space station for almost a year comes back hypermethylated, right? The identical twin on Earth is not, right? And so it goes to show you that the environment's what's playing a role on that methylation. And so it means if you have MTHFR variation, it means you need more sun, not less. You don't need to throw a bunch of B vitamins at it, because what that's going to do is potentially cause you to hypermethylate, which is as bad or worse than if you're undermethylating. And so like there's a lot, I despise, and I know this is going to be offensive too, I despise these functional people as much as I do allopathic doctors. Okay, so like anybody that is trying to sell you something, you've always got to question, incentive dictates outcome. So if they're trying to sell you something, you should just have your ears raised. You should be like, what's their incentive for telling me about this?
Man, I love that answer. Okay, so if you had to choose minimalist, barefoot, or ditch them entirely shoes.
Yeah, I would just ditch them if you can. I mean, obviously that's not kosher for everybody that works in offices and stuff, but like if you're walking across something, you're gonna get them feet tore up, wear a shoe. But if you can have it off, have it off.
Yeah, I know that was kind of a silly question, but these are some of the. I tried to put a hodgepodge of every email that came in regarding all this. So, yeah, folks, take them off. I mean, just use your own judgment on that. Obviously, you don't want to be walking on glass barefooted. So, and then here's the last one. This one's coming from me. Your favorite Jack Kruse concept that blew your mind the first time you ever heard it.
SV40.
Okay, I want you to break that down. Do you have time to break that down?
Yeah,
because
I know exactly. I have no kids. You caught me on the perfect night. SV40 is the most important conversation that most people have never heard of. And this is going back, and every bit of this is verifiable, guys. Like y'all don't have to take my word for it. Like just fact check me. SV40 is a virus. It stands for simian virus 40. That means there were 39 other viruses that were in monkeys, simian monkey virus, that were found. So SV40 was one of the most oncogenic viruses known to man. So it is the most cancer-causing virus that we know of. It's actually what we give a lot of these rodents to test cancers and then treatments, right? Like this is how bad it is. So where did it come from? Well, it came from Jonas Salk cultivating the polio vaccine on monkey kidneys. So this is the rhesus green monkey, okay, our African green monkey. So these kidneys contained this virus, or these viruses, that they didn't know about, because this was pre, the discovery of even DNA. So what they did is they cultivated the polio, they used it to make these vaccines. They then injected it, and then they found out after they injected many millions of people that, this is contaminated with SV40. Okay, so what they did is this is all coming out of the New Orleans area with Alton Ochsner, and you could read some really cool books about it. Dr. Mary's Monkey and Judith Baker wrote the book Me and Lee. That's about Lee Harvey Oswald, because this ties into the whole assassination thing of Kennedy too. As crazy as that sounds, it's still true. So when this virus gets put in you, it causes cancer. Okay. So almost 100 million people were given this virus. And so this is where you start hearing things like cancer become more common. Now we have mesothelioma that's caused by asbestos, when actually it's caused by SV40, this virus. And when they figured out that it was in there, they actually, because they didn't know at first, they tried to eradicate it. So this is also within the book, like Dr. Mary's Monkey, some other extremely verifiable ways. They used a LINAC. This is a particle accelerator that they actually use in cancer treatments to irradiate and try to destroy the SV40 virus in these vaccines. But what they did was they realized that they made a turbo cancer virus. And so that should sound familiar. So this made this virus much, much, much stronger and lethal. Okay. So when this happened, they knew it. They got caught. It's called the Cutter incident, Cutter Laboratories. Alton Ochsner, who was like the first, cancer association, president stuff. Has Ochsner Medical System down there in New Orleans. Actually used this vaccine on his grandkids, a granddaughter, grandson. One died and one was paralyzed. Right, like this is like the first cover up. Bernice Eddy is the one that discovered it. She was absolutely canceled because she told people about it. She was, pulled all her funding, locked her in the basement, made her do like clerical type work. It's terrifying. So after they did that, they quote unquote got rid of it, but they sent all the rest of the vials across the world to inject everybody else with SV40. So if you have cancer, if you had somebody in cancer and you are like, well, they lived this perfect life and it's ran in the family and all these excuses that we now have, and we don't consider SV40, you're missing the biggest piece. This is what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. When the biggest thing that is the most important variable that you don't know, that's Dunning-Kruger. So this is a story that everybody should know. There's another book, The Virus and the Vaccine. It documents every bit of this. And again, Google it. Google Cutter incident. Now, I do want to go one step farther, and hopefully I don't get you canceled on this. We now know within the Pfizer mRNA injections that SV40 promoter. So part of the SV40 virus is in Pfizer. Okay. This is what makes it much easier to get inside the DNA for the mRNA gene editing therapy to work. And what it does is it causes cancer, turbo cancers to be specific. So when you look at like how Jack Ruby died, he was actually killed using these turbo cancer bioweapon, because after they realized that they made the cancer causing virus stronger, they were going to try to turn it into a bioweapon. So he got stomach cancer and died within a couple of weeks of being in jail. Again, Jack Rubenstein researched that one too. So it being 70 years later in a vaccine that has it's not a vaccine. It's a gene therapy injection. So the mRNA Pfizer gene therapy is the most nefarious thing ever, and everybody should be extremely angry about it. I would jump over and follow the Ethical Skeptic on X. His work is phenomenal, and he just put out to where 0 to 5, our babies are dying like crazy, dying because parents, mothers were given this crap before they had the baby, while they were pregnant. Kids are getting popped because it's on the vaccine schedule. It's insane. Like 25,000 kids a week are getting popped with this RNA. It's insane.
Yeah, I think it's 25,000 a day, isn't it?
There we go. One getting it is too many. It's just insane to me, and we know it. So go look at that chart that Ethical Skeptic just put out, because he pulls all the data from CDC and other governmental agencies. It's all public that you can get. He just puts it together where you can see it, and it is terrifying. And those cancers are not responding like the others are. So I know we didn't start with this, but like my entire world is cancer. Like Dr. Petra, who I was talking about, my friend in LA that's hopefully getting out of there soon. Like, she is a naturopathic oncologist. That's what she does. This is our world, is cancer. And I'm telling you, the turbo cancers are outrageous, and they are extremely difficult to treat.
Yeah, but that's part of why what you're saying here. I mean, if we're going to inoculate ourselves in the best way to avoid, I don't even know, in the Army alone, my wife and I don't even know how many vaccines we got. Every time you go on deployment, I mean, they'd shoot you up. You don't even know what they put in you. The Gulf War illness, I mean, that was likely, something they did with the vaccines. Who even knows? And I'll guarantee that SV40 and all the others are probably in every single one of us right now. There was another scientist out there, another researcher. Can't remember her name. It's a lady. She's almost like a mad scientist. I can't even think of her name right now, but she's talked extensively about this SV40, not as eloquently as you just laid it out here, but also in like the books. I'm a big fan of Lee and Me, that book by Judith Berry Baker, and also Dr. Mary's Monkey. I was aware of that work, but until I heard Dr. Cruz kind of encapsulate it, and I think you did an even better job and kind of breaking that down. Basically, all of us have it in us. And that's part of why I'm trying to get you to promote this protocol out here, to where it doesn't even cost you money in most cases. Yeah, you might have to buy some light bulbs, but by and large, this is just lifestyle changes where I'm getting back to nature. And if anything, it's saving you money. So when you break all this stuff down and you look at what's going on in this world right now, no, I'm glad you had that response. I mean, yeah, man, you knocked my junk in my watch pocket, man, when I'm sitting here thinking about the fact that this SV40 is everywhere. And there was a time, I've heard old doctors talk about it on other shows, where to even see a cancer patient years ago, they would have to drive hours and hours and hours away because it was that rare. And then after this Cutter event, all of a sudden, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And now here we are. Now we got these turbo things that are kicking off, and we're just supposed to believe this just happened. No, I'm glad. Look, the consequences be damned. I really don't care. And people really need to hear this stuff. So I'm glad you kind of rounded it out with that, because yeah, that's a big deal. And, following these protocols is going to help, I think, to a great extent, to try to mitigate the junk they're dropping from the air every single day, the stuff they're putting in our food that we can't get rid of, the stuff in our water. I mean, who even knows? I mean, it's in so many different vectors right now. We've got to do everything we possibly can to keep ourselves and our families safe. So I know you, of all people, man, I'm not surprised you know that history very well, considering what you've gone through with your son. So, man, is there anything, tell everybody where they can find you, bro, because, like I said, folks, I mean, it's one of those podcasts out there. Once you check it out, you're going to binge it, especially when you're looking for all these different ways and these different modalities to try to, things that seem like common sense now that I'm learning them. They feel like things I should have already known. And when you hear Logan break it down with all of his guests on there, folks, I'm telling you, it's going to become one of your favorite podcasts. So go check him out. Bro, how can folks get a hold of you, or what's the best way for them to watch what you're doing or keep up with you?
Yeah, so just YouTube and the podcast, just my name, so Logan Duvall, and Sowing Prosperity pulls up all of it. And, there's all kinds of specific topics, right? I do have a Rumble channel. I don't work it as much just because it's just a lot to juggle all the different platforms, but I do have quite a few over there that YouTube just killed. And so one person you're probably talking about is Judy Mikovits. She wrote Ending Plague, and Judy's been on. YouTube will not allow Judy on, so I have to have that on Rumble. Mel Gibson came on after he went viral on Rogan, talking about cancer. So that YouTube about killed my whole channel because of Mel. So that's on Rumble. So I do have a few over there. That, but the Rumble channel has been a little slower go, and I definitely don't put as much focus towards it. But I write so much, and it's on Facebook under Me and McGee Market. So like I own that a grocery store in Arkansas, and like building out I want to cure cancer and feed my community. And so like utilizing that platform, I'm pretty relentless on the information I put out there. I try to break it down first on ways to really understand it, but then I got to support it because I got all kinds of doctors that try to Well, not as much. They used to try to argue with me, but you know, when you are just a country boy without any little letters after your name, and you eviscerate them and show them what they don't know, they tend to just kind of take a step back. And I don't care what that credential is that they have. If they're wrong, we're going to break it down.
No, that's what I love about you, man. Folks, I'm telling you, I mean, you do it politely, but I'm like, there's times where I've listened to your podcast. I'm like, man, he knows a lot more about this than this PhD or this other person with all these highfalutin credentials and all these other things. And yeah, you got a classy response to all these things, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on. Thanks for answering all these questions. And folks, I'm listening to it too, and I'm learning along with the rest of you. So, folks, stick around. I'm pretty sure we're going to have him back on. I mean, with all the crazy stuff going on in this world, I mean, it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier by the day. Look, y'all, I want to thank you so much for checking us out. Until next time, stay alert, stay alive.
That run deep, wisdom from Sowing, permaculture dream, let the ideas unfold. I'm moving with the truth. Feeling nature's good. We got the answers, all we need to do. Listen to the earth, they got us through. Let's see the change, watch the world spin. From the smallest sprout to harmony begin. In the cycle of life, where the magic's alive.